Hello, my friends. Today we'll start with the fact that the situation in Pokrovsk is developing in a very interesting way. Let's begin with this. The Ukrainian side decided to show that Pokrovsk is under the control of the armed forces of Ukraine and carried out an operation to raise the flag in the central part of the city. And here is what some Ukrainian soldiers are saying about it. So far, the map shows no changes. Unfortunately, we've already seen several times that Skelia has recently started engaging in flag planting. Here is another statement from a Ukrainian soldier. Pokrovsk. Some people say one thing, others tell a different story, and nobody understands anything. Personally, I have no questions about what's going on because it's all pretty simple. An information wave, the arrival of commanders of different ranks, sudden operations by special forces units, videos of flags being raised in Russian controlled areas. It feels like deja vu, like I've already seen all this somewhere before. And one of the soldiers spoke out quite harshly about the situation. Objectivity is the main virtue. I can admit a mistake, acknowledge a defeat or a loss. That's not betrayal, that's reality. Overconfidence and emotional micro shows can only be cured with a cold assessment of your forces and resources. If you are not sure about your capabilities, don't risk people's lives just for a picture. Human lives aren't endless. They run out fast if you scatter them across small, meaningless operations. A PR assault or a symbolic action for the sake of a video is dangerous recklessness. Such achievements may look impressive on Instagram, but they don't change anything on the strategic map and often only put extra pressure on the units. A serious operation is when you are confident in your people, your plan, your supplies, and your way out. When you look at the map and understand, yes, here we can intervene, and it will bring results, not just delay time at the cost of blood. Tactics shouldn't be sophisticated, not theatrical. You need to know how to build moves so that the Russians trap themselves through cunning, intelligence, and proper use of forces. Sometimes it's better to leave them space so they walk into the trap themselves. Sometimes you must hold and gather strength to strike only when it truly makes sense. War is about achieving a goal, not about instant results. Planning isn't only about strategy on the map, it's about choosing priorities, where to use people, where to use equipment, when to take risks with your team, and when to step back. Always remember, if you waste resources now, tomorrow you may have nothing left when it really matters. You must understand the limits of your advantage and not try to play when your hand is empty. To sum up, less show, more work, more facts, fewer fantasies. Protect your soldiers, think coldly, show what truly matters, and don't show off with flashy pictures. When success comes, let it be real. A city liberated, a corridor opened, people alive. Everything else is just a cheap copy and background for those chasing applause. And here is what some journalists wrote about this. Strange as it may sound, the soldiers of Ukraine's defense forces managed to infiltrate almost the entire city and reach the center, where they were able to raise the flag. As you can see, this message again confirms that Ukrainian forces are not stationed there. They had to move through the whole city to get to the center. At the same time, the report also claims that the city is not under Russian control. Friends, share your thoughts about this in the comments below. It's reported that the decision was made to hold Pokrovsk and Myrnohrad for as long as possible. According to Serhiy Flash, a military political decision has been adopted to hold the Pokrovsk-Myrnohrad conglomeration for as long as possible. All available reserves will be thrown in to do this. Meanwhile, on the Dobropillia axis, the Ukrainian forces are making progress. Despite continued Russian attacks on Novaya Shahova and Shahove, the Ukrainian forces confirm they are pushing the Russians back and the situation is improving. Finally, what we've been waiting for has happened. Our fighters broke through and wrested a bridgehead from the Russians. The advance wasn't cosmetic, but involved real capture of positions. The guys retook control of the sector, driving the Russians out of their strong points. Now we are set on the tempo in this sector and the Russians are forced to retreat. Problem areas still remain. A stump north of Shahove and a biting notch to the southwest, a ravine. These remain urgent issues. They won't let us rest while these narrow salients exist. The Russians can use them to fire on our lines, threaten logistics, and slow our offensive. We must quickly neutralize or cut them off, clearing them step by step so the Russians have no chance to entrench. Similar hotspots exist east of Sofiivka and near Nikanorovka. If they are not broken, they will stall our advance and give the Russians opportunities for counterattacks and artillery strikes on the approaches. I believe in my brothers in arms. The chance is with us now, and it's important not to relax. Finish off the salients and straighten the front, then the battle in this sector will be ours. Overall, the situation is improving here, but fighting continues. Now let's move on to the Novopavlivka direction. Here, assaults on the village of Dachne continue, but there is still no talk of full control of the settlement. The front line remains unchanged. In the direction of Pokrovsk, in the Dnipropetrovsk region, the Russians are attacking Sosnivka, Oleksiivka, and Yegorivka. However, there have been no new changes in the past day, although the Shalom situation has worsened and the Russians have increased the number of strikes on the frontline areas and are trying to prepare the ground for new assaults by weakening the Ukrainian forces. In the Gulay-Pole direction, the Russians continue the attacks near Novomykolаivka, but they have no success and the front line has remained unchanged over the past day. In the Zaporizhzhia direction, the Russians are trying to advance toward Novoandriivka and are assaulting Stepove, but they have achieved no success and the situation hasn't changed during the day. In the Kherson direction, the Russians continue the attacks in the area of the Antonivsky Bridge, but they are unable to advance to the right bank. The front line remains unchanged, although shelling continues at maximum intensity. And now moving to the Kostiantynivka direction. Here, the Russians are assaulting Stupochki, Ivanopillia, and Plashiivka, and are trying to break through toward the village of Bereztok along the highway. This is the official statement from the general staff, which means the Russians are attempting to stretch the front line here to advance toward Kostiantynivka from two sides. The situation is difficult, but for now, the Ukrainian forces continue to repel all attacks. There have been no new changes over the past day. In the Siversk direction, the Russians are assaulting Dronivka and attempting to break through to Siversk from two sides. They're also advancing in the area of Vyimka and Pereyiezne, but there have been no changes over the past day, and all attacks have been successfully repelled. In the Lyman direction, the Russians continue trying to advance through the forest and secure new positions to get as close as possible to the outskirts of Lyman. They also continue assaulting Drobosheva, Novoselivka, and Korovy Yar, but there have been no changes in the past day. The Ukrainian forces are successfully repelling all attacks. In the Borova direction, the Russians are assaulting Borivska and Andriivka, but have no success, and the front line hasn't changed over the past day. In the Kupiansk direction, the Russians are attacking Petropavlivka and trying to break through near Pishane, but there have been no changes during the past day, and the situation in Kupiansk itself remains stable. However, the northern part of the city is still marked as a red zone. We are waiting to see how the situation develops further. In the Veliky Burluk direction, and the Russians are assaulting Dvorichansk, but have no success, and the front line remains unchanged. In the Kharkiv direction, the Russians are not carrying out new assaults, and the situation remains stable. Meanwhile, in Vovchansk, the fighting continues. The Russians are advancing toward the village of Sinelnikove and have already shown their flags in the southern part of Vovchansk. However, the Ukrainian side hasn't yet confirmed these Russian advances, so we'll have to wait and see. In the Sumy direction, the Russians haven't launched any new assault so far. Also today, everyone in Ukraine is talking about Angelina Jolie's visit. But the main news and the most unbelievable one is that her supposed bodyguard was reportedly taken to a military enlistment office. Friends, at first, I honestly thought it was fake. It sounded completely absurd, but I was really surprised when it turned out to be true. That said, there are still a lot of unclear details and there is no confirmed information yet. Here is what the media report. The publication reports an incident that took place during Julie's trip. At one of the checkpoints, soldiers handed a draft notice to Julie's driver. Representatives of the actress haven't commented on the situation. Earlier, near Pivdенно-Ukrainsk, a military enlistment office employee, along with the police, stopped a car from Angelina Jolie's motorcade. During a document check, it turned out that the driver was a reserve officer subject to mobilization. He is now preparing for service. Later, social media users began claiming that this person had nothing to do with the actress at all. However, photos appeared showing that she had allegedly been at the enlistment office earlier to pick up her man. But then, as they later explained, she supposedly just needed to use the restroom. Friends, just think about the absurdity of this statement. An American actress, Angelina Jolie, traveling toward Kherson with her security team, suddenly decides she needs a bathroom, so she stops at a military enlistment office. Apparently, to use that particular restroom. Friends, either the military enlistment office has the best bathroom in all of Ukraine, or I have no idea how to explain it in other way. So share your thoughts in the comments. What on earth is going on? And that's all from me. So please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on all the latest news. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye bye.